everyone, and welcome to the Cinematic Schematic, the official podcast of the Cinematropolis.com, your home to thoughtful conversations on film. I'm your host, Caleb Masters, and today we are concluding our coverage of the 2025 deadCenter Film Festival. That's right, big old 2-5. They're 25th in 2025. My 10th year covering the festival. We're going to do this by looking back at the highlights, including some of our favorite films and experiences. So I'll be sitting down with the Cinematropolis team of writers to talk about our festival experiences before just exchanging a few notes about what we liked about the films that we saw. And joining me today are, speaking of people I've been covering the deadCenter Film Festival with for quite a while, this group right here. This group right here is super solid. And this group right here, I'm literally flattered every year when I reach out to ask you guys to do this again. You all say yes. So I love you. Thank you so much for showing up. First and foremost, he is a contributor at the Cinematropolis, flickattack.com, and recently wrote the Oklahoma Gazette cover story about deadCenter, Daniel Bokemper.
I'm not the foremost. Come on.
What?
But I'll be first anyway in the introduction. Thank you. I'm happy to do it. It was another a family emergency kept me from a good chunk of this festival, but what I did manage to make was really something. I feel like it gets better every year, you know?
Yeah, I feel that my festival is also lighter. Family emergencies in June, man. Bad news.
I don't know what this year.
Woo, we're not gonna talk.
God.
We're here to talk about the fun stuff, but
It's
been a weird June, that's for sure.
Word.
Very excited next up to welcome back. She contributes at deadCenter for the Cinematropolis, also regularly on this podcast. She contributes to No Film School, The Final Draft. Joe Light, you're back. How are you doing?
I'm so good. It has been a long time, by the way. I looked at our email to try and get into our CMS, and we've been here for it's 2019 at least.
Yeah,
it's
2019.
a lot.
Last but certainly not least, he's a contributor at the Cinematropolis and Flick Attack. Christopher Shultz, welcome back, sir.
Hello, thank you.
So the three of us did it, and then friend of the show, Oklahoma Film, known for having hot takes on Letterboxd, Kevin Tudor, was there 1 year. I think it was 2018.
There's a group photo.
Yes,
of all of us, and I think it was.
I do want to say
2018.
2018 sounds right.
2018, and then Joe came in the next year. Thank you for keeping it from being just a bunch of white dudes. Thank you. So yeah, that would have been 2019. So 6 years.
That's crazy.
Seriously. Time's flying. Thank you guys for doing this for 6 years. Before we get to today's conversation, I just wanted to note that if you are listening today, especially if you've enjoyed any of the coverage we have of the deadCenter Film Festival, you can find that all at thecinematropolis.com, by the way. Each one of these folks at the table has written several articles about films or short films that played. You can show us support by just going to thecinematropolis.com, following us on social media, facebook.com/thecinematropolis or Instagram at thecinematrop, or leaving us a rating and a review on your preferred podcast app for the Cinematic Schematic. And quick programming announcement. If you're tuning in just for the deadCenter coverage, stick with us. We talk about movies all year round. And I gotta say, this summer, I guess we're already halfway through June, but I feel like we're about to enter a stretch of summer films that I am either going to be immensely happy about in a month or immensely depressed and disappointed by. The first of which is one from Oscar-winning director, Oscar-nominated writer. 28 years later, Danny Boyle's back. Yeah. Alex Garland's back. So we're going to be reviewing that movie, 28 years later, next Wednesday. That is Wednesday, June 25th. From there, we will be covering... this one I'm actually not that excited about. It just happens to be an episode apparently a lot of people want to listen to because people love listening to dinosaur talks. Jurassic World Rebirth. Excited about Gareth Edwards. Excited about the cast. Not excited about how fast the movie got made. And frankly, just not excited about Jurassic World anything. But
there's a mutant T-Rex in it. You're not excited about that?
I mean, I think if you'd asked me when I was 10...
It's got little arms and big arms.
Ooh, that could be fun.
Yeah.
And then, of course, we'll be doing Superman the following week. That's the big one. I'm not going to overstate this. I feel like the future of superhero cinema as we've known it lies on the shoulders of Superman in just a couple weeks and then Fantastic Four, because the Thunderbolts, while it was critically well received, definitely still didn't exactly make moolah dollars. So I'm serious. Like, if these two movies, one or both of them, don't do huge numbers, I really think we're going to see a huge tide shift in the blockbuster cinema. Let's get back to deadCenter, shall we? So this year's deadCenter Film Festival was the 25th film festival, and they actually added an extra day. So this thing started on a Wednesday, whereas it normally starts on a Thursday, and which means more time to party, more time to watch movies. And I want to kick off just by talking about our experiences at the festival. They also had a number of panels that they did, as well as an awards show. So I'll open up the conversation. Daniel, actually, let's start by talking about panels. You were on a panel, Wild at Heart and the Weird on Top. It is a David Lynch memorial panel that was hosted by our friends over at Good Trash Media. Tell us about your panel experience.
Yeah, it was great. I was not expecting the turnout.
Yeah, it was
this
huge.
year, yeah, no, and this year deadCenter extended its length, so it started on a Wednesday. So it went from a 3.5-day festival to basically a 4.5-day festival. But yeah, early on a Friday, I just did not expect the turnout, except there were a ton of people. That auditorium, which again is a great auditorium in the Contemporary Arts Center, it was great. It was really, really great. And I think we all had pretty different opinions. And it's just kind of nice, to be able to celebrate one of the most, I would say, imaginative and probably empathetic filmmakers. It feels like he gave us so much, and yet we still would always want more from him. And it's just, I don't know. I love sharing that love with other people. And we're so different. I don't think any of us had really much of the same films that were really the most influential. And at the same time, we all just had really, I think, deeply personal perspectives on it. I got to share how I was once afraid when I was 6 years old that the Elephant Man was going to get me before I understood the nature of the Elephant Man film. So it was fun to share that. Dustin, of course, at Good Trash had a very similar story, seeing the Elephant Man way too young. I think he was 4, even younger than I was when he saw it. So when I was 6. So it was just really interesting. And again, just nice. And it's also like, we were all Oklahoman talking about it. And I do think there is a part of David Lynch's spirit that really captures, this area of the country in a lot of ways.
Yep. Suburban Midwest.
Midwest. Yeah, for sure. Especially with like Wild at Heart and Blue Velvet. And of course The Straight Story, which is one of my favorite films of his. But yeah, just a lot to talk about. I wish we had 3 hours of a panel, but we got one, still managed to just cram it full of really good perspectives. So yeah.
Plus, there was like a 10-minute sizzle reel of a lot of David Lynch moments they put on the screen, which is really cool.
Exactly. Yeah, I think either Dalton or Arthur assembled it. I think maybe both of them together. Again, I don't want to discredit one over the other, but either way, really, 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 really good picks for it. And it just flowed into itself really well. And it lent itself to our conversation. I think Dalton did a really good job of capturing kind of the sort of the thesis scenes almost for a lot of these really, really important David Lynch films, except he did leave off Patrick Stewart running into battle with a pug.
Yeah. I mean,
Dune movie. So.
Can't get it all,
Yeah, I know. So that's the only strike I'd say on the panel.
Joe or Chris, did either of you make it out to any of the panels? Just curious.
Unfortunately, no. I wish I could have gone to that one.
Oh,
but
I'll never forgive you.
I know.
I'll never forgive
And
you.
I love everyone that was on that. They do such a good job over there.
It was a great panel. Great job, Good Trash folks. And I did pass along, when we were talking with the new executive director, Amy Janes. That was some big news that broke over the weekend too.
Oh, yeah.
Khaki Porsche is stepping down, passing the baton to Amy Janes, formerly of Filmmaker Ranch. I mentioned, I was like, hey, I think this is awesome. The one thing that stuck out to me on the David Lynch panel was almost all of the other panels were pretty much focused on filmmaking, which is awesome. This is why, filmmakers are really the main demo of people showing up at film festivals, or a very large one at least.
Yeah.
But my suggestion was like, hey, this was great. Let's do more like film appreciation panels, because I do think part of why it was successful was because it stuck out from the pack, would be my guess. But anyway, lots of things to talk about, a lot of angles to slice. Hey, it turns out people who go to film festivals, they love to make movies, but also like to talk about movies.
Oh, yeah.
So very cool. Well, excited to see what panels they have in the future. Again, hopefully that's something that continues. Well, let's there's some parties that we went to. I have to say, my favorite being the pajama party on Friday night. And listen, I'm not gonna lie, guys. this pajama party has been a thing for years, and I always skip it because I don't really like the gimmick of the pajamas. If I'm being honest, that's a person. That's not a party problem. That's a Caleb problem. So it's very clear. But this year they got me. They got me good. You want to know why? Because it was held on Friday the 13th.
Yeah.
Very important day, which meant they played Jason X at the party. And they played it in 3 different rooms. They had it in one room where it was literally just a full-blown party with a DJ and it was on a screen playing. They played it in another room where it was with subtitles. It was a lot quieter, but everyone was like socializing and like half watching the movie. That's where I spent most of my time. And then they had a quiet room where they had sound on and closed everything off so people who wanted to just watch the movie without distractions could enjoy it. And it was quite a lot of fun, I got to say. And I was very impressed by the turnout. It was a huge hit.
There was a lot of people there. Also, Bobo's Chicken catered it.
Dude, that was the most. I hadn't had Bobo's Chicken. By the way, Chris, Joe, have you guys had Bobo's Chicken?
No, never.
Are you familiar with Bobo's Chicken?
I've heard of it, yeah.
No.
Okay, so sorry, side tangent here.
No, this is very important.
This is some Oklahoma City lore right here. Bobo's Chicken. I remember the first time I heard about it, probably 2009, 2010. I'm in college.
Yeah.
There's this food truck. It sounded like an urban legend at first. They're like, so if you go out after around 11, you go on 23rd Street and you just drive up and down, sometimes you'll see this food truck that's got this chicken, and it's the best damn chicken you've ever had. It's like covered in smoked and fried and covered in honey, and they got good little biscuit things. But man, it's the best thing. But it's not every Saturday. It's just some Saturdays sometimes, and sometimes on Sundays, and it's always in a different spot. Okay, that was my origin story with Bobo's Chicken, and I think a few years later, they eventually settled into a semi-permanent location.
Yeah,
so you can actually know where to go. It's pretty damn incredible fried chicken. It's definitely designed for late night eats. Mm-hmm. So the fact that they had this hole in the wall food truck, Oklahoma deep cut lore food truck cater the pajama party was magical. It felt like it was meant to be. Anyway,
it's such an inspiring film to play too. Jason X, yeah.
Yes, especially when people getting dismembered
when the sergeant gets stabbed twice through the door, and then he comes back to kill Jason. I don't quit because he never quit.
He does have there's some great lines in
Jason. That too.
He's like, it's gonna take more than one stab to take down this guy, and then Jason comes back for a second one, and he's like, that'll do it. It's just,
but he wasn't dead. It didn't do it.
It didn't do it. He still came back.
Jason.
He still came back.
You fucking spacefaring piece of shit.
Real quick, hot take. Joe, you've seen Jason X? Yes.
Yeah.
What's your? Do you like Jason X?
I love Jason X.
Oh man. What's your favorite part about Jason X?
I just love the whole thing. I love the camp. I love that it's stupid. I love that era of horror, even though it's not the best. Yeah, I'm down for that kind of a film.
Like Sci-Fi Channel original movie, but with just a little bit more money.
Yes.
But it's got the same vibe with Jason.
What's the Halloween where they live stream? It's like similar to that.
Resurrection?
Yeah.
Is that with Ice Cube?
No, it's not Ice Cube.
Busta Rhymes.
Tyra too? Who else is
there? Tyra's in there too.
That's right. Yeah.
Sorry, tangent, but yeah.
No, that was a pretty incredible era that we'll never have again in horror, I have to say.
No.
The birth of reality TV meets iconic 80s horror, yes. Well, Chris, bring us home. Jason X opinions. I mean, it's important.
Oh, it's fantastic. It's so much fun. It has one of the best kills with the freeze-dried face to the counter. I mean, that's one of the classic Jason kills. David Cronenberg is in it and gets killed at the beginning. What's not to like about this movie?
And I love when they bait Jason into the VR holodeck or whatever, and it's like two girls, and they're both in their sleeping bags, and he's like killing one of the girls with the other in the sleeping bag.
Not only that, they program them with dialogue that says, "Yay, we're teen girls. We love premarital sex."
That's right.
It's like goofy, and
it gets him.
I mean, he does kill those simulations. Anyway, Jason X, what a classic! I'm sure LaRon Chapman is at least partially, if not completely, responsible for that being screened at the pajama party. So great work, team. Any other parties did you guys, Chris or Dan or Joe, you guys make it out to that you want to talk about your cool experience? It's not going to top that one, I'll be honest.
Yeah, no, the award ceremony didn't have Jason X. So
you're right.
It's
Had heartfelt speaking of the award ceremony, Dan, you were there. You presented Best Okie Short Film on behalf of the Oklahoma Film Critics Circle. I presented Best Narrative Feature on the behalf of the Oklahoma Film Critics Circle, and Dustin Sells from Good Trash presented Best Okie Documentary. So That was just 3 of the awards among, I don't know, well over a dozen other awards they handed out, and as well as like some speeches about the icons. Dan, what was your take on the award ceremony?
Oh, I mean, it was, it flies by, seemingly. It goes pretty quick, but it was really cool, and I think there were so many filmmakers that just were taken aback, especially the shorts, especially a lot of the local filmmakers. And I don't know why, but it always gets me when you get, award recipients who are really like caught off guard, and you get some of the, again, the most emotional responses from them. And really, really good picks. A lot of my, my favorite shorts from the festival itself ended up, finding themselves an award, which I think was really cool. I'll talk about a couple of those later. But yeah, really cool show. And again, the venue, I really hope they keep both the panels and the award show at the Contemporary Arts Center because it just accommodates it so well. And it's just a cool venue. And then you can go and look at art as soon as you're done. So
I have a confession, and there's definitely going to be some people maybe listening. They're disappointed to hear this, but that's because that means I haven't gone to their movies that they've screened there. And that makes me sad because I've made poor life choices. That was the first time I've spent more than 5 minutes in the Oklahoma Contemporary, and I never left the first floor. So I didn't even know there was a huge theater on the 3rd floor. And I just have to say, holy cow, like seriously, A+ venue for the festival. I really hope they can keep it going next year because it also centralized things. And I was surprised because initially I was like, that's in a weird spot because we're used to doing it like over at like 21C or whatever, the Fortson now, over closer to like the heart of downtown. But no, it was a perfect spot. Less traffic than in that area. Yeah. So anyway, I think the biggest thing I'd say is, we were talking about this off air, but we did the award show last year as well, and it was held in the Oklahoma Museum of Art on a Saturday at noon. Mm-hmm. And although we had a lot of great celebrity folks, the Reservation Dogs people showed up. All the filmmakers who won awards showed up. There was, because Dylan Brody was the icon winner. That's why the Reservation Dogs people showed up. But, there was a lot of great talent in the room, but not a lot of attendees. And it was like about a half, maybe a third full theater. So it kind of felt a little like, what? Are we just doing this for ourselves sort of thing? Versus this year, they moved it to 7:30, which does put it up against other film screening trade-off. Mm-hmm. But also the turnout here was, at least 3 or 4 times the size. Because you had people like, I looked back and they were like all out the door. There was the balcony was full.
Standing,
yeah.
Which I felt that sucks. They have to stand. But at the same time,
means that they all show up for the award ceremony.
That's the thing,
and there was enough tables for people to, initially if you got there early enough, there were tables to sit at. So it was almost like a little dinner type setting, kind of like the Golden Globes or something like that. So I just have to say, it seemed like it was a huge success for all the reasons you mentioned about the speeches, the turnout. So I hope they keep doing that next year, just because it's kind of fun to have a moment in the festival that kind of gets as many people as you can to one room just to kind of celebrate another year, right? Let's go ahead and get to what really matters, though. The films, starting with narrative feature film. And though I did not care for the Jurassic World movies, do you know, I say this with all sincerity, you know what I am more excited to see than a Jurassic World movie? By a lot. The Jurassic Games sequel, the Jurassic Games Extinction. Why? Because if it's gonna be dumb, lean into it. Just lean into it with whole heart. We get to see some cool VFX done by everyone. I guess Ryan Belgart being the writer director, but everyone who worked on this film. Also, just they have. I don't know what the budget for this is, but they definitely got a who's who of Oklahoma talent. Adam Hampton's back, Leia and Philpott's back. There's a ton of people. I'm like, I know half the people in this movie. So Jurassic Games. Did anyone else see that one?
Yes, I did see it.
I didn't see any narrative features.
Oh, narrative features.
Honest.
Yeah. A hot take. What do you guys think of that? It is what it is, but it knows what it is, so I kind of enjoyed it. I don't know.
No, I love like I just said, I love camp. Mm-hmm. My cousin's in that movie, so similarly, okay. I also am like, oh yeah, all these people I know and love and support. So yeah, I'm for it.
Getting to fight dinosaurs. Yeah. Chris, what'd you think of the movie?
My take is about the same. It's very campy. It's very silly. It kind of knows what it's doing. The sort of the dinosaur avatar things with everyone turning into dinosaurs. which I don't think was an aspect of the previous one.
No, it was not.
If I'm remembering correctly, yeah. So that was fun. But yeah, I don't know what the distribution of these looks like after deadCenter, but if you can find them.
It's definitely going to be. I need to, you know what? I should look this up because IGN published they're also getting great press for it. Like IGN published the trailer on their website. I saw a couple other websites. You know, Ryan Bogart, obviously writer director, you know, hyping the movie, but he's always posting like he's getting written about for it, which is just so funny. Because I think it's a great time. Really smart counter programming to you know, the Jurassic World movie. So, what else did you guys catch? Chris, did you catch any other narrative features?
Special mention to Queens of the Dead. That was Tina Romero's debut feature film. She's the daughter of George Romero, of course. And she's
the George Romero.
Yes. And she's definitely leaning into her legacy of zombie films, but doing it in a very comedic way. And doing it in such just a very joyously queer way. Was a lot of fun to see. So hopefully that one will at least get to streaming at some point. I mean, I would imagine.
So people were talking about that at the festival. Though that was unfortunately a victim of limited time, and also that movie in particular was directly up against other things I was already committed to seeing. But I'm just talking about, there's no way a zombie movie of any kind that has the name Romero doesn't get picked up for distribution, right? Like,
I mean, you would think, yeah.
You would think.
Yeah.
I mean, it's playing at Tribeca right now, I think. So I feel like we're probably going to get some sort of announcement in like matter of days.
Right.
Yeah.
No, I heard great things about it though. Joe, did you catch any? Did you catch Queens of the Damned or Queens of the Dead? Sorry, or a different movie. Queens of the Dead, or any other maybe another narrative feature that you want to highlight?
I'll shout out The Other People, directed by Chad McLarnon. I love the way this movie started. I was very excited as it went on. It does sort of fall apart a little. It gets very convoluted and confusing and doesn't really explain itself. But basically, like, you move into a house and there's people living there already. That's the basic premise. And they're sort of like creeping around.
so like, do you know when you move in that they're there already?
No.
Oof.
No.
Oh, it's like
it's frogging.
Is it like The Boy or
sort of, yeah.
Bad Arnold?
Yeah.
That all bit weird.
Yeah. Looks great. The actors are amazing.
Very
Just
cool.
Sort of like doesn't quite get there, but I had a fun time.
That was one I heard people talking about a lot. It also won one of the awards. I can't remember which one.
I can't recall which one. I know
might have been best overall narrative feature, maybe.
Yeah, I know. Is it Queens of the Damned?
Queens of the Dead.
Queens of
Sorry,
the
I messed you up, Dan. No, I messed you up.
I only think of Queen of the Damned, but that's singular. So Queens of the Dead did win Best Pride Feature.
Yeah,
that's right.
Yeah.
Okay. But I can't remember. I do remember other people being mentioned at the festival.
The other people were. It was definitely named for an award, but yeah. But also, I just heard that was the one. I think I had 3 or 4 people come up and say, when I'd ask them, "Hey, what'd you got today?" I said, "I saw this," and they had a kind of a similar thing. They're like, "I don't know if it's a home run, but the premise is so good and it works enough that it's like definitely should check it out." Do you know if that one has distribution?
I don't know.
Okay, all right. Well, fingers crossed on that one. Last one I want to shout out is the best Oklahoma narrative film winner anywhere, and this one was starring. See, this is why I linked it. Haley McFarland, I think. Yes, right. The icon at one of the icons at this year's festival. One of the icons at this year's festival, Haley McFarland, John Burge, Sean Gunn was in this movie, by the way, and he's great in the movie.
Yeah, he really is.
And he's in it a lot more than I expected him to be. I thought he was going to be one of those. I'm going to be in 2 scenes. I'm going to bookend it. No, he's a prominent supporting actor. We also have Oklahoma's Mary Jane Buss here. So it was a pretty good cast. It had This was my personal favorite of the 3 Oklahoma narrative features, mostly because it had as much as I love the Jurassic games. This one, it's sort of kind of like an old school Coen Brothers movie a little bit. It's a little bit of the noir energy. And I kept going back and forth, and I asked a lot of people this, including Jacob Snovel, the producer. I said, I thought this movie was very funny a lot of the time, like in a dark sense of humor way. I was like, that is intentional, right? Because it was a question among a lot of people. Did you think this was like comedy or was it playing it straight? And his response was, the script is doing one thing and the director had a different vision, but there was a little bit of healthy tension in terms of like how they pulled that off. So he said that they kind of landed in the middle. So for me, I looked at it as more like a dark comedy that still had some like good chopped meat on the bone, you know?
Yeah, I felt it's definitely going for like a neo-noir vibe.
Yeah.
And by the way, I mean, if more Oklahoma filmmakers want to start like an Oklahoma noir movement,
Yeah.
Seriously,
please do it, because this, I've never really seen anything like that really kind of leans into the actual, you know, it never says blanketly that it is set in Oklahoma, but obviously it is. And so seeing the landscape portrayed in that way was really interesting.
Yeah.
I really appreciated that.
Yeah. It highlights, again, it highlights Oklahoma without being on the label Oklahoma. I think I heard a rumor that the script was originally set somewhere else, like Wyoming maybe, but they ended up shooting it here for, you know, probably what I can only assume is either personal connections or a tax rebate or something along those lines. But yeah, that being said, it does highlight Oklahoma rather well, I thought. Joe, what's your take on Anywhere?
I loved it. I was my favorite of the 3 Oklahoma features too. I love a film that. It's interesting that you mentioned that because I felt like it didn't fall into that trap of taking itself too seriously,
Right?
Which is an issue with indie noir sometimes, where it's just like, oh, this is the grittiest film you'll ever see, and it doesn't quite get there. But this, I think, struck that balance really well.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, intentional or not, it was clearly like there was an awareness on multiple parties about like the kind of that tension, and I on what I saw on the screen was a really great balance because I laughed a lot, but also I really was personally invested in the characters and kind of where the story ends up going. But yeah, love this one. Love to see it do so well at a deadCenter, and hopefully that's one that could get picked up for distribution as well. I know it's got some good momentum. Any other thoughts on feature films before we move on to the very important subject, the most important genre there is? The documentaries.
Documentary.
Probably I say most important. I just, the ones that are the most serious. So actually, Joe, I'll throw it back to you. Did you catch any of the documentaries this year?
I watched more documentaries this year than I ever have, I think, for
Nice.
some reason. Yes, I saw Susan, and then I also watched Life's Ballet, which I really, really liked. I think it was my favorite, actually, of the documentaries that I saw. And I saw one other that name is escaping me. I apologize. I'll look it up and get back to you on that one. But Life's Ballet is about this OCU ballet instructor in her late career and her retirement. She taught Kristen Chenoweth. She taught a lot of like Broadway staples now. And taught for like over 40 years. She studied with Balanchine. She went to Russia to study. So she's like a really amazing local figure that we had that I didn't really know about because I wasn't in art school here. But yeah, it's shot really well. It's really well balanced. That was my favorite documentary.
Very cool. And you wrote about that one that's up on the website, I think. I'm pretty sure, right? You wrote that one, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. That's the guy. That was what the link was for. Yeah, so you can actually find Joe's full thoughts on the Cinematropolis.com if you want to read more. I'd heard a couple people before the festival saying that was one to watch, and I didn't get to it. So glad to see someone at the crew was able to watch it. Daniel, what documentaries did you see?
The documentary I saw.
Oh wait, did I see the only?
Yeah,
did we say, all right.
You popped right. You came in right in time.
Yeah.
To watch Counting Crows. Have You Seen Me Lately? If you're wondering if this one got picked up for distribution, it opens with a big old HBO film banner, so I'm gonna guess it did.
It's also produced by Bill Simmons and the Ringer people, so if their name's on it, it's gonna get sold at some point.
Yeah, and I'm just gonna be real. I before watching that movie, I could not. If you asked me to tell the difference between the Goo Goo Dolls and Counting Crows, I could not tell you.
Can you now?
Yes. Pretty sure. It's an objectively well made. It's actually made by one of the film icons who was honored this year, Amy Scott, who I know she did a lot of work for Masterclass, and she made a documentary I really loved back in was that
2018, the Hal Ashby doc?
Yeah, the Hal Ashby documentary.
It was a great documentary.
It's so good.
It is. It's excellent.
I saw that documentary specific for the sole purpose, based purely not off the subject, but because she made it.
Yeah. And that well, same for this one. That being said, this again, I reiterate, this is an objectively well-made documentary. Amy Scott, an established documentarian who knows what she's doing. I can't wait to see what she does next, because I think she has a lot of career left. At the same time, you could probably call this movie, instead of Counting Crows, Have You Seen Me Lately? Probably Adam Duritz, It Ain't Easy Being Me, because it's really, and I don't want to.
Right.
No, and I know you know what I'm getting at, but like I don't want to diminish, because this film has, a pretty good heart, in the sense of, it is focused on frontman of the Counting Crows, Adam Duritz, and his really his struggles with I would say incorrectly diagnosed, mental health issues, which honestly, with the passing of Brian Wilson, we want to talk about, musicians and and again, incorrectly diagnosed mental health issues. Love and Mercy, about Brian Wilson's life. It's just, I know this is a tangent, but again, a really good film that everyone should watch now. It's one of the few not completely insufferable musician biopics. So, yeah. But either way, this one, not insufferable, but it's pretty clear what it is, and I do feel like it's very, we were talking about it afterwards. You do get perspectives from the other Counting Crows band members, but it all feels pretty truncated, and it all feels overwhelmingly directed toward Adam Duritz in a mostly positive light, that then when you get the little hint of like, oh, there was shit that may have gone down within this brand. Yeah, they like talk about some of it loosely, but they don't really get into it. And that kind of, and that's not, the director's fault. I think this particular film exists for a very specific purpose. But at the same time, it does feel like you're not really getting everything. And so it's hard to call this, again, a Counting Crows documentary. It's really it's a film about Adam Duritz. Yeah. And yeah, again, he's who people recognize, the white dude with dreadlocks.
He was the front man for the band.
Yeah, exactly. But it still feels just kind of overly heavily curated. I do think it does have some interesting things to say. It has some interviews with Chris Martin from Coldplay, Titus.
He has the single best line in the movie too.
Yeah,
how he said the second I started to make a buck off music, the first thing I did was I went and bought one of the dreadlocks. He was like, he bought one of the dreadlocks. Holy cow.
He said he buried it in his lawn and hoped for it to grow into another Adam Duritz, which I don't know if he was making that up or not, but at the same time, you have enough disposable income that you're buying somebody's dreadlocks.
Well, and also you're Coldplay, so clearly there's something going on there.
Yeah. But yeah, it features Chris Martin, Cyndi Lauper is in it. Titus, again, his last name escapes me, but he's the frontman for the Chainsaw Kittens, which was kind of the, Flaming Lips ultimately became the more popular, big Oklahoma band. But for a while, I think a lot of people would argue that Chainsaw Kittens was their favorite. And I think the same expectations for them was there within Chainsaw Kittens. So it was interesting to see his perspective. And he was actually there for a live Q&A, where he spoke briefly about, the pressure of fame. And he was a friend of Adam Duritz, may still be, but yeah, it does reveal a lot about that how overwhelming, fame can be. I think this documentary could have, in a lot of ways, there's parallels to Kurt Cobain within it. And I think that's
he's in the movie.
Exactly. And
not him as an interview, but he comes up.
Yeah. He comes up, and it's I don't know. I think that stuff is kind of interesting. And then I also think it's pretty easy to hate on music like the Counting Crows, because it is like kind of pop rock. It's not my cup of tea, but it's interesting to see the value that offers. So I don't know. I think it was an interesting documentary overall, but yeah, feels a little one-sided.
Yeah, I'll try to sum up my thoughts for this pretty quickly in that, one, Ray is very sheltered evangelical, so was not exposed to a lot of the pop stuff, except for occasionally catching stuff on MTV. So it was interesting. I had this weird thing where I'm like, I recognize the songs, I know the band by name, but I don't know anything about them.
Right.
I don't really understand the proper history of this era, this post Kurt Cobain era, but we haven't quite gotten to the early aughts sort of thing. Yeah, so it was a fascinating. So for me, it was like, wow, this is really interesting to learn about what was going on in the scene in pop culture, and learn about Adam Duritz. I didn't know anything about him at all, other than that I did recognize him from that one music video they played on MTV all the time, and obviously the dreadlocks. But I did appreciate the examination of fame. Has a very Gen Xer bend to it. Like this is definitely a movie for Gen Xers.
Oh yeah,
which is like you're all about fighting and living the dream, making like being an artist until you make a lot of money, but then you sell out immediately. What does that do to a person? You know, because there's a little bit of weird contradiction in that, which is. Chase your dreams, commit to the art, but then once you're successful, then are you selling out? You know, so there's a little bit of that in there, which I find fascinating. But I will say, I think that for me, the most telling thing is not that this is a fine documentary. I really like. I actually thought it was a really well made documentary. I enjoyed watching it. I learned a lot. But the most telling thing to me is, as you alluded to earlier, I cannot tell you what those band members actually think of Adam Duritz, and they interview a lot of them.
Well, one of them says he's a sensitive motherfucker.
That's about as
deep as it gets.
Yeah. And also, from what I understand, even though I feel like it's a very positive documentary about Adam, apparently he was initially very bought into the project. Obviously, he's a very prominent subject in the film, but. I guess he's distanced himself from the project now, so don't really know what's going on there because I feel like it's a very nice,
very pro Adam Duritz as far as I could tell.
Yeah, right. But worth watching if you have those blind spots like I did. Last one I just want to call out on my side is Diddy Bop's The Art of Listening. This is a documentary from our friend of the show, Zachary Burns. And this was really interesting because essentially it's sort of a story about how they do like this interpretive dance based off of what's the Morse code. Yeah. So basically the subject of the movie is a guy who has Parkinson's because he was exposed to Agent Orange during Vietnam.
Wow.
And his whole thing is he did the Morse code transmissions. So the sort of the way that the documentary is about like essentially like an interpretive dance performance that's put on based on his name in Morse code. So there's Morse code. Hi, my name is Frank. I probably should look it up. But my name is, and that's the Morse code. And they use that as the base for like the music they write around that's written about it, that they then turn into an interpretive dance. The whole goal of this being, though, really, they're trying to raise awareness for this guy put in, he has submitted, his VA benefits have been turned down like multiple times because apparently his base was a top secret base. And I guess for whatever reason, that's made it very hard for the VA to give him what is owed him. I don't really fully understand, but basically they're like, this base that I worked at isn't on record. So they can't give me money because they can't verify that it's real or was real. So that's sort of like he gets rejected once in like, I think it was 2017 and he's still waiting in appeals. It's pretty upsetting. So the whole point of this dance that is documented by Zach is to raise awareness. So essentially like at these, where they do these performative dances, they have people like sign letters to like different congressmen and stuff like that. And there's some pretty interesting statistics that, I mean, I won't totally give it away, but just saying the number of people who have claims in with the VA that the line just keeps getting longer and longer.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of really cool stuff. It was an important subject. I thought also the way Zach realized a lot of the Morse code type things on the screen with like different colors and editing tricks and stuff like that. It was really fun to watch. I'd say tough subject, but it was like really engaging. I was leaning in quite a bit. So again, that's Diddy Bop's The Art of Listening, directed by Zachary Burns. Chris Shultz, what documentaries did you see?
The only one that I did make it to was Free Leonard Peltier, which is about a Native American activist. If you're not familiar with who Leonard Peltier is, in the 1970s, he was involved in the shootout at Wounded Knee, a very famous incident in 1975. He was wrongly convicted for the murders of 2 FBI agents at this particular shootout, and the documentary basically covers the 50-year fight to get him out of prison before he dies of old age, essentially. So really, really fascinating documentary, really well put together. It's very thorough. And this is another one I imagine will probably get some distribution, so definitely look out for it.
It's produced by Jane Myers, right? Producer on the Prey films. We interviewed her back on the show in 2022.
Yeah.
So she's really, really outstanding producer. So yeah, I'm confident that'll get picked up. There's a little bit of a twist. Should we give it away though?
So the twist is that he was actually pardoned by Joe Biden in like the literal last minutes of Joe Biden's presidency. He gets a pardon. So there is sort of a twist ending, I guess, to this story, but definitely not something that diminishes from the overall documentary in terms of learning about this incident and the broader American Indian movement that he was involved with, to shed light on basically all the ways that the U.S. government has wronged the Native people. So,
Yep.
yeah.
Yep. Well, that's really cool. I really want to see that one. I think I'm really curious about, because I think you had said, then you also wrote a piece about this
I did,
on
yes.
the Cinematropolis.com. Folks, you should check that out. And they had to re-edit the film pretty quickly because it was basically set to premiere, and then he got pardoned. And they're like, wait, that's the whole documentary is about getting him trying to figure out how to get him pardoned.
Yeah.
you know. So
Yeah.
anyway, super cool filmmaking story there.
Yeah.
Let's wrap up by talking about some of our favorite shorts. Dan, I'll throw it to you. What is maybe one of your favorite shorts block?
I saw 3: Okie Shorts, Youth in Revolt, and It's a Mad, Mad World. Okie Shorts, I want to call out the winner of Best Okie Short, Thin Places, directed by Britt Hensel. Just a really, I found it a really moving and organic meditation on grief. It just has this very good character work and real dialogue. It's just objectively a really well-made film that really caught me off guard in a lot of ways. So again, powerful short. That's Thin Places. From the Youth in Revolt, I'm going to call out Ebb and Flow. That is a film from Ney Tabara. It's really my personal favorite of the block because it's both, it's youthful. It's about teens. It's really, and it's made in a very, straightforward sort of lighthearted way. But at the same time, it's about teens living in war-torn Beirut in the middle of a politically motivated terrorist attack. And it's just got this frenetic pace, but it still has this very childish heart to it that I really appreciate. And it could have fit really well in the next film block, Mad, Mad World shorts, which, oh my God, this one's kind of terrifying and does not leave you with a very, great feeling in your stomach. There's a lot of films in this that I really loved, but if I had to call one, I'm going to call out both the winner of the special jury prize for writing and directing. It's also probably the longest short film I saw. It comes in at 35 minutes, which, Joe, I know that you might not call that a short film, but
I wouldn't.
yeah, and
I love it. I love it.
I would agree with you, but
It's not that it's not a great story. It's just it's a short film.
It's long. It's hard to call it a short film because I'm pretty sure I've seen individual films presented at deadCenter that were shorter than this. So either way, though, really good. Two people exchanging saliva. It's from Alexandra Singh and Natalie Musteda, I believe. And it's just in this absurd world where kissing gets you killed and shopping gets you slapped. It reminds me of The Lobster in a lot of ways. And it feels like a film that definitely needs to be adapted into a feature, and I'll kind of just leave it at that.
It's already halfway there.
Pretty much, yeah. No, it's damn near. Feels like it, but it doesn't feel like that in a lot of ways. I think it has just a really good sort of pace about it overall, and really two very, very, very powerful leads, and it's just absurd and crazy, and I think kind of epitomizes that particular block, which I believe is new.
Is the Mad World shorts?
Yeah, is it new or I can't remember.
I think so, and it was so funny. Whenever I heard the name, I thought it was going to be it was a riff on "It's a Mad, 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 Mad World," like the original Rat Race. So I thought it was going to be a comedy block.
Too, yeah.
And then I read your piece that you wrote on recapping them for the Cinematropolis, and I was like, whoa, that is not the vibe I was expecting, but also it makes perfect sense.
Yeah, the only laughter will be extremely nervous laughter watching this. It also was one of the final pieces of the festival, which, like, God, if you watch that at the end of the festival, it's all good work, but it is kind of a weird note to end on. So not the most uplifting, but in some ways the block as a whole is. But I do want to just call out just the overall curation of that block in particular. Very, very strong.
All right, very cool. Joe Light, what are a couple of short blocks and short films you want to call out?
I unfortunately didn't make it to the actual blocks, but I will call out When When Shadows Lay Darkest.
Thank you. It means I don't have to. Yes.
Yeah, Jacob Burns, who, full disclosure, is a friend, but I really love that short, and I
It's a great
got
short.
to see it individually, so
Mhm.
loved it.
No, a great call out. Thank you for saying it, so I didn't have to. He's also I'm equally biased to said friend, and he did in fact film it in this house that we're recording this
What?
podcast in. So all of the biases ahead, but I also think it's a really great time. It's a really impressive execution of genre, and it's a great short film. I know they want to turn to a feature, but it's almost like the teaser kill at the beginning of a horror movie, and just the way he's able to like lean into like the colors and the shadows. It's got the giallo vibe, which I really like. There's a fog that comes in at the beginning. Yeah, it's good time. When Shadows Lay Darkest. Okay, well, I'll call out since you called that one. The two blocks I saw were the horror and the midnight shorts. I'll throw out my horror block call one, and then I'll throw it to you, Chris. I'm gonna give a shout to Lurk, which was the final short film in the horror block, and this one's really funny because it really goes back and forth between this is terrifying and spooky and hilarious, but not usually humor undercuts the horror, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not in this one. It's bizarre because, whoa, this is really creepy, but the guy's cracking jokes, sort of acknowledging how creepy and uncomfortable it is. Oh, haha, that's funny. But it's still really creepy and terrifying, and what the hell's going on? Like, that's the energy of the whole short film.
Yeah.
Basically, dude hears his neighbor, something awful happening to her. Sounds like she's getting brutally murdered. He's on the phone with his friend talking about it, and then walks away. And then all of a sudden, weird stuff. I don't give too much away. Weird things begin to happen in his house that then maybe set him on the same path as what had happened to his neighbor. It's very funny. Great way to end the block. Chris Shultz, what is a short film you want to call out?
So I made it to the Midnight Shorts block, which was curated by Mr. Laurent Chapman, of course, from this podcast and the Cinematropolis as well. Great dude. And I will say that the biggest standout from the Midnight Shorts is a short film called Jeff, which is a really difficult but rewarding watch, I think. It centers around a phone sex worker who receives a call from a man who begins to confess very dark, very disturbing impulses that he has. And it kind of goes... It just gets more awful from there.
Yeah.
We'll leave it at that.
Yep. Yeah, I also saw that movie and that short, and it's definitely a powerful story, provocative film. Be thinking about it in 20 years. Yeah, like it's that good, like powerful. That said, I wouldn't recommend it to everyone, or at least not without like a wall of disclaimers. But one thing I thought about that was interesting is it's all a phone conversation. Was the way the director, I'm gonna pull up her so I can get her name, Julia Hebner.
Yes.
Who was at our Q&A.
Yes.
That was hosted by Dalton Stewart, and at least the screening I went to. I think Brett Grimes did the first one.
Right, that's the one I went to.
Yes, and she was saying, well, what she does very well is it's all one conversation, but she comes up with some really clever ways to put the characters in all these different scenarios that are somewhat adjacent to some sort of like porno or something.
Mm-hmm.
It does not relieve the tension at all, but there's a lot of like porno tropes that we probably all know for one reason or another. And so there's not just her sitting on the phone talking. She like puts, the two actors in different costumes, different locations, all sorts of things like that to kind of mix it up. And it gives it really impressive pace for what is a very difficult thing to listen to. So,
yes.
Anyway,
yeah, absolutely.
Top-notch filmmaking.
Yeah.
From the same block, last thing I'll do is I'll call out, and on a funnier note, Banjo from the same block. Now, this is, okay, this one is about a guy, his friends take him out to a cabin where he's going to lose his virginity. And it's all kicks and giggles, very silly humor. Got like weird, I don't know, like almost like South Park or Book of Mormon, the musical vibes from it at times. There's no music, but just the way people talk and the cadence and everything. Well, the guy, it's all funny until they make a joke about being circumcised, and turns out he is not circumcised and does not realize that all other men aren't circumcised, and his girlfriend gets there. There's no time to really process it, and then stuff ensues. And it was hilarious, hysterical. Our audience was losing it throughout the entire
It definitely goes places that you're not expecting it to go, for sure.
very quickly.
Yeah.
Yes.
Very quickly.
Very quickly, which is a feature, not a bug. But highly recommend that. It's just called simply called Banjo, directed by Cameron Paletti. Check that out. Well, everyone, about a time. Is there anything else you guys would like to add about deadCenter this year before we wrap up?
No, it was a good one, though, I think, overall.
Fun times. I didn't get to attend as much stuff or talk to as many filmmakers as I usually do, but with the time I did have there, felt like it was just a fun old time at deadCenter. Let's go for another 25, shall we? Well, hey guys, thanks for taking some. Firstly, thank you actually for writing all your thoughtful pieces for the Cinematropolis.com. Listeners, if you want to check those out, I think each of you have anywhere from like 2 to 4. So lots of stuff to read up on if you want to get our impressions on the films that were at the festival. And thank you guys also for joining us today to recap it all, as is annual tradition at this point. Joe Light, where can people keep up with you and your work online?
I'm on Letterboxd at JoJoBinks1. Writing on Final Draft, writing on No Film School, writing here. Yay. Funny you're bullying Jurassic World so much. I just talked to that screenwriter, who was the original screenwriter, by the way, of Jurassic Park.
Wait. The original Jurassic World.
The original Jurassic Park, David Koepp.
Yeah. He also did for World.
He came back to write for Jurassic World. That is just coming out.
Oh, the new one that's about to come out.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, I haven't seen this one. Has the most promising of the ones.
It's okay. You can bully it.
No, I haven't seen it yet, so I'm not going to bully it. I'm just saying the previous 3 Jurassic World movies, though.
But the thing is, he came back and he's restarting it. So that interview is going to be out the week of release.
Ooh, well, see, I'm hooked. Jurassic World depends. I will say this one is this Jurassic World is the one I'm like, this could go either way. I'm really interested in.
They did a soft reset. But didn't retcon because he hates retconning.
That's fair. I think that's good.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, retconning is just
cheap.
Yeah, it's cheap. And at this point, I think film goers, fans of things are just kind of tired of it. Because then it's like, what's the point of getting invested if you're just going to reboot it? Marvel Cinematic Universe. Damn, Bokemper, where can people follow you and your work online?
Yeah. Find me here. Of course, I've got pieces over the Youth in Revolt shorts, and it's Mad World shorts. Find me at flickattack.com. The most recent thing I wrote for it was a Clown in a Cornfield review, which was a fun new horror movie. And then the Oklahoma Gazette, of course, I did an interview with Khaki Porch about the legacy of deadCenter and, her sort of reflecting on her final year. And then, of course, I did an interview with our own LaRon Chapman about the Pride programming and what it means to him at deadCenter. So, yeah, check out the Oklahoma Gazette. It's free. Come on, as is pretty much everything I write.
Got an issue on my table right now. Christopher Shultz, where can people follow you online?
I sometimes post on Instagram at Agastus_. It's difficult, but I'm sure you can find it. You can also just search my name, Christopher Shultz. I'm sure you'll find me there. I write here at the Cinematropolis and, of course, at Flick Attack as well.
Awesome. Well, listeners, of course, you can follow me and all the work over at thecinematropolis.com or on all the social medias, Letterboxd, Instagram, all the places at C Masters Talk. That's letter C Masters Talk. This has been so much fun, guys. Thanks so much for joining us. We'll see everyone again next week with our review of 28 Years Later.